Hey everybody, Schaefer here. Just wanted to do a quick video to close out the beta weekend for Diablo 4, and I thought I'd just give some of my thoughts here at the end, just to say how I found it, what it was like, what I didn't like. So just thought I'd do that while I run through this dungeon here. And I managed to get to level 25 as a Necromancer this weekend. I did also play the Druid, but unfortunately, because I was playing it on hardcore modes, my Druid died at level 16 or so, I think, something like that. And honestly, didn't really like the Druid gameplay too much, so I kind of decided not to bother continuing any further with the Druid, so I just kind of gave up and instead just continued to play with the Necromancer. Honestly, I think they need to do a lot of work with the Druid for the release, probably increase some of the abilities, the way they feel, the damage output. Like the werebear and the werewolf forms were kind of interesting, but ultimately they just seem to lack any real damage or impact. I did do a brief bit of gameplay with like a lightning kind of build with the Druid, which was kind of good actually, and seemed to be a lot more effective than the shapeshift forms, which I was a little bit disappointed at because I was kind of looking forward to playing more of a shapeshifter kind of build. But unfortunately that wasn't really meant to be. So, but actually, if you want to get some more details or actually see the gameplay of the Druid, my Let's Play series is going up at the moment for Diablo 4, and it's focused mainly on the Druids, actually. So you'll be able to spend some time and see me play through that. So feel free to go over and watch that as well if you want a bit more in depth. But yeah, overall, I didn't really enjoy the Druid too much, so kind of gave up once I'd got it killed and came back over to Necro. But Necro is a very, very different story. Necromancer is very strong, and as I've gotten here to level 25, I focused mainly on a minion master build. I love minion master builds, and it doesn't disappoint. It's really, really good. You get, as you can see down here, you get skeletal warriors and skeletal mages. You get two types. You also get a bone golem, as you can see this guy here running around. And, well, I mean, as you can see, they do a lot of the work for me. I tend to buff them with this ability. Ray Skellington, I can buff them. And the golem here has an ability which he taunts all enemies. I'll do it now. There you go. And pulls them in, taunts them. And yeah, just generally is a tank for me and a bit of a nuisance for the enemy, so all really, really good. You can actually, what's really interesting, you can choose to play a Necromancer without any skeletons or any minions at all. And if I come up here and go to Book of the Dead, let's have a look at my skeletal warriors. Each minion has a subtype. I picked the Reapers, and you can see here that you can actually sacrifice your minions and gain a bonus. So, for example, if I was to sacrifice Summoning Reaper or Skeletal Warriors, I could get a 10% increased shadow damage, which would be quite interesting. You can have one here that reduces physical damage, and here that increases critical strike. So instead of having the option to summon a Skeletal Warrior, I could increase my crit chance. So you can actually build a completely non-minion based Necromancer, which I also thought was really interesting. Especially because some of the spells, especially the blood ones, I really liked. The blood spells just are really, really strong, really, really effective, and good fun to use. They feel great, and just overall, just a really fun class to play. So I really, really enjoyed it. But getting into the game itself, overall, I actually had a really good time. I did play the beta weekend last weekend, and again, I played it this weekend. And yeah, overall, really, really good. There's a lot of polish. A lot of cool, great features that make the game feel and play really well. I was hoping that we could have a few more than 6 abilities, because as you can see here, my problem is that although I do have 3 spells that I can use to damage or attack, I have to have 3 open. Well, not have to, I suppose, but I have 3 here just for my minions, because a minion build requires me to have these spells equipped. If I unequip this Ray Skeleton ability, I lose all of my skeletons. So I guess it's a disadvantage to having minions, but then again, as you can see, I don't really need the damage spells because my skeletons do most of the work, if not all of the work for me, so it's not terrible. I really like the graphics. I think the game looks fantastic. The cutscenes are gorgeous, so are the so is the sound. Sorry, the sound's just really, really good audio, and the voice acting. I mean, I mentioned it in my playthrough, my Druid playthrough. There are some phenomenal voice actors, really, really standout jobs, and it just adds to the overall polish and feel. So I mean, overall, I had a really good time. I think the Druid definitely needs a little bit of work. I also heard and saw that the Barbarian suffers as well with a little bit of balancing early game, and you know, could use a little bit of love for the final release, and I hope that they get that. It didn't help as well that each class has like a specialization quest that you go in and you unlock certain class abilities. For example, the Golem here, I had to do a Necromancer quest for that. The problem with the Druids and the Barbarian is that neither of them had access to their class ability, their class quest. So they couldn't unlock their speciality, which truly makes the classes sort of shine. And so that was a bit of a shame. I thought that, you know, you could have maybe put like a temporary NPC somewhere in one of the towns that we could talk to just to do that quest, but unfortunately that wasn't the case. So those classes potentially were a bit lackluster because of that. It may be quite difficult to decide whether or not that is a thing that goes into live. So let's just have to wait and see there, I suppose. But I mean, overall, if you're a fan of ARPGs like this one and PoE, you're definitely going to feel right at home and definitely going to enjoy it. On the surface level, I mean, this is the overall skill tree. It's not massive, but there's plenty of different varieties, and there's usually like 2 or 3 or 4 specializations that you can go into. For Necromancer, for example, it's Blood. There's like Blight or Shadow, sorry, should I say. And then there's Bone magic that you can go into. And they all have their kind of benefits and negatives. And I really liked the Blood ones, especially this one here, Blood Mist, which makes you immune. And so it's a great crowd control. It's a great like survival ability, especially when things get a bit overwhelming. And with my minions doing all of the work, I can just become immune for a certain amount of time and let them do what they need to do. You can only pick one ultimate skill, which is down here. I picked Army of the Dead, which I thought fit quite well because it just summons more skeletons, which is great. But yeah, the skill trees aren't as complex as maybe something like PoE, but I still really liked it. I thought the customization was great, and some of the choices to make certain abilities act differently or present themselves differently I thought was really good as well. We will get Paragon levels here. You can see at level 50, which I think from what we've seen, or what I've seen, it does look like it's going to be PoE style boards of customization for your character, but it's really I guess we won't really know until the game's released, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And I'm certainly looking forward to it. But I absolutely recommend this, especially for ARPG fans. I think you're going to really like Diablo, even if it's just for the story, because the story so far is really interesting. Lilith's a great looking character and a great character in general, and I think it's going to be overall a really good experience. And I think Blizzard do very well in a lot of their storytelling. So overall, I don't think we have too much to worry about there. And you know, I think a lot of the end game is potentially going to be stuff like this dungeon-y kind of stuff that I do a lot of during the weekends. But I think, you know, even for those of you that just want to do the story or experience a story, I think there's going to be more than enough content for you to do that. And what I thought, you know, when I talk about content, I also really enjoyed the idea of having a really open world, or at least a semi-open world. It's fairly open world map. So you do a short tutorial intro. Once that's over, you're able to do whatever it is you like in almost any order. You can go and do dungeons, you can go and do open world events. There's lots of events in the open world. You can do open world bosses. Sadly, I didn't get a chance to find any in my playthroughs, but I know that they're there and I have seen them. And obviously there's just the main storyline to go through. So there's a lot to go through and there's a lot to unpack. And I just think overall it's just a really, really solid, really great experience. So for me, definitely thumbs up. I'll be checking it out for live, and I'll be doing another, I'll be doing a complete playthrough of the game come live. So make sure you check in for that. At the moment, I'm uploading the beta weekend experience, which again, I think is focused mainly on my druid. So feel free to jump in and experience that and see how I get on and how ultimately my poor druid meets her demise. But yeah, overall, really happy, really enjoyed the weekend, and we'll definitely be looking forward to either more beta tests, if they're doing any, which I honestly don't know if they are, or ultimately the full release when it's due to come out. So that's really all. Just wanted to talk about my thoughts and my feelings on the games for this weekend. And so I'll just leave it at that. So thank you very much for watching. Check out my Let's Plays video, and yeah, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you very much.